Hello, my kindergarten and first grade leaders. Welcome. This month, we are talking about Ready, Set, Move as we are diving into faith and how Jesus wants to be our friend forever. Now, I'm changing it up on you guys a little bit, being in the kinder and first area. Since we have the new children coming up from downstairs that are fours going into kinder, they need a little bit of an adjustment because some of them can't really read too well yet or things like that. And so we're going to use the same curriculum that they are used to downstairs for the kinder and first curriculum. And so the first graders, you guys, they're gonna, kind of relapse a little bit to what they are used to because they are used to the kind of older kid curriculum, but let's try this for a little bit and see how they do. So we're gonna try this for maybe June, maybe July, and then we'll kind of see how it goes from there and reassess. But what we're doing is we're basically looking at Paul becoming a believer. And it is the same story that we're learning in the older kids with the 2nd through 5th grade as well. But with this, it's Paul becomes a believer on the way to Damascus. And so as we are doing this, we do have different memory verses though for you guys to do between the kinder and first and the 2nd through 5th. And so don't get that confused. But with this, it is very simply like Jesus said, come and follow me. And you're kind of marching in place for that. And then it's Matthew 4:19, okay? So super simple. But basically, we're just learning the basic truth of Jesus wants to be my friend forever. And so with these first activities, we're kind of going with a Ready, Set, Move theme that we've got going on, okay? And this move theme is gonna go along with summer, okay? So with this, we're just gonna be doing a lot of moving activities and getting the kids involved with like using their bodies and actually moving them around, okay? So with this, it's going to be like moving for Jesus, and like every action we make is going to try to be for the Lord. And so we're going to discover that we can talk to people about Jesus no matter where we are, no matter what we're doing, all of that. And so this first activity, what you're doing is you're just getting them some to warm up, okay? And so you're kind of getting them some energy out, as we call it in kids ministry, right? As we get this energy out, we're learning that we will have the time to focus, but we can also have a lot of fun doing it too. And so this first one, basically what you're doing is you're having them all line up in a line, and you're gonna have them repeat whatever motion that you do. And so it can be jumping in place, it can be doing a hand motion, whatever. And then after you kind of get them comfortable with that, and you're learning their names and stuff like that too, then you're gonna have them close their eyes and do whatever you call out for them to do, okay? Now, the goal of closing their eyes is like Paul was blinded in our Bible story today. And so you don't have to go that far yet, but you can be like, hey, like we're learning about a guy who was actually blinded, which means he couldn't see anything after he encountered Jesus for a while. And Jesus eventually like gave him his sight back. But we're discovering how like Paul would have felt in those moments because he couldn't see anything. So there's a lot of things that he wasn't understanding, right? And so then that's going to be your first activity. Then your second activity, you're making different roads on the floor. And so you have different pieces of paper in your bag where you can lay them out on the ground. And then you have different cars that are going to be around there as well. And with those cars, they can take turns going along the path of the road that you guys have created, and have them work on creating it too and creating it with you so that you guys can kind of have some of that creativity start pouring out, right? And the goal with that is, hey, we're also going to learn about someone who was on a road when Jesus appeared to him. And so that'll be the tie in there with that activity. Now, this next one, you'll go ahead and go off to large group. And when you're doing large group, you'll see the video on the screens that are in the room. And with this, leaders go ahead and do the worship time and get really involved in the worship time. Have your children get excited about the worship time, all of that. And then you'll watch the video. Now, the video, for those of you that have been upstairs with me, it does look different. It is the Ollie video, the one that they use downstairs. And so we have a different animal character that kind of goes along with it. And it helps them kind of connect with Ollie, who is the owl, and be able to connect to that story. There is still a live Bible story teaching in there on the video, and so pay attention to that as they go through the Bible story together. This next activity right after that is going to be there's going to be a big box in your room. And with this big box, you're actually decorating it and putting stickers on it, coloring it, all of that stuff. With that, it is, hey, like it's going to represent a house. And with this house, it's going to be like, put some kids in there and be like, hey, can you guys talk about Jesus at your house? And they'll be like, well, yes, of course we can. And then the kids outside of the house be like, can you guys talk about Jesus outside of your house? And they'll be like, yes. And then have them switch, right? To where some different kids are in the house, and then ask the same question. The goal here is to realize that we can talk about Jesus anywhere, right? And so with this, we should be talking about Jesus anywhere. Why? Because Jesus wants to be our friend forever. And with that, he also wants to know other people and to be friends with everyone around us, right? And so Have them go through that, and it'll be a lot of fun as you go through that together with a house. And you'll use that cardboard big thing, house-a-majig, for the next coming weeks too. And so don't destroy it. Don't let them destroy it, because we will be using that later on too. Now, your next activity, you're actually doing a prayer journal. And so have them all sit in your little group. Make sure you're in those small groups, right? At this point, with those small groups, you should have like maybe 5 or 6 in your group, hopefully. And with that, it'll be able to have good conversation with your children. And you'll do your prayer activity, and you have a prayer journal that goes along with this too. So write down their names and their prayer requests, ask them what they can pray for. Again, it is going to be younger children, so they're going to have a lot of interesting, maybe very real to them prayer requests, right? But definitely take those seriously. Your next activity is going to be coloring a little Paul cutout that we have for you guys. Now with this, we have very special paint. This is glow-in-the-dark paint, so do not, under any circumstances, let it get on their clothes. Try very hard not to let it get on them as well, because this is not going to remove as easily as most paints. What I advise you do in this moment is go ahead and have the table, like have the tablecloth. You have some tablecloths that go along with this too, to protect the table and whatever else around it. Put the piece of paper on it, and then if you want to do 1 by 1 with your small group, have them do that, to where, like, you know, if we have like a poncho that you can put on them and stuff like that to protect their clothes, then they can like use the little Q-tips and color their Paul icon, but doing it very carefully. And if you want to do it 1 by 1, that's totally fine. Have the other kids watch as they all do it together, and then have the lights on during that time to where it's kind of recharging the paint, and then maybe you can turn the lights off after that to show that it actually does glow in the dark. Your next activity, you have 3 different little cutouts with some pieces of paper on them. And so you have like a shining light, a Jesus one, and then a little city that is a Damascus one. And you're going to hide them under the cups and kind of shuffle them around just as a visualization of the different things in the Bible story, right? And so when you uncover one of the cups, or you have one of the children uncover one of the cups after you mix them up, then you're going to talk about that part in the Bible story. So if it's like the shining light one, or the one that looks like a star, then it's going to be like, yeah, like when Paul was on the road, what happened? Yeah, that's right, a big light shone and he was not able to see anymore. And then kind of shuffle them up and do it again. And then the next one can be, could be the Jesus one maybe. And so the Jesus one would be like, yeah, and then Jesus himself showed up and talked to Paul on that road. And then the last one is the city, and it's going to, he was now instructed to go to this place where he would receive further instruction. And so you can talk about that, or even talk about how he was on his way to a different city, right? To actually put people that believed in Jesus in jail, and God totally turned it around for something different. This next activity you're doing, kind of lay out a different road and mix up the different picture pieces within that road. So think of it as kind of like not a maze exactly, but kind of to where it's like one path that you can do. And each child, when they go on this path, you'll instruct them how many spaces to go, and then they put their marker down whenever they get to that space. And so if you want, you can use a die for this maybe, and just roll a die. Hey, move 6 spaces. And when they move 6 spaces, they can put their marker down, stuff like that. But again, that is just showing them that we are on a road together, and this road, it's going to look a lot different for us. And as Paul was on the road, so that we are also on the road to life, and we want to invite Jesus to come and meet us there. That's the big point that you want to get off there. This last activity is really just a closing activity. It's a red light, green light, right? And in the Bible story, they actually see like an example of a red light, green light. And so you can play that with your children. So you have your red light and green light stick that you can hold up. That's a little paper plate. The green light's on the other side. And whenever you're flipping that, if anyone moves after you flip it and they move a little bit too long at your discretion, then they have to like take 2 steps back or something like that. And that's it for this week, guys. Thank you so much for all that you guys do. I am so excited to have you guys this weekend, and I will see you guys in just a little bit.